Hey, Janet here. And YouTube says I have 3 subscribers. I had no idea. So I'm so thankful. I'm so excited. And I want to say thank you. And I'm hoping to get some more. And so, I just have to say I'm sorry I haven't done more videos. I got busy on some projects. And at this point, I really don't have any assistance. I am hoping that I will be at a point where I need to hire someone. Um, but I'm just not there yet. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about various ways to use outbound phone calls or cold calls, because a lot of people I talk with think, and myself, I've experienced it. I get very, that adrenaline starts going. You get kind of nervous, but the reality is those feelings of, I call it the adrenaline rush. It's also somewhere when we get excited. So it is something to kind of change our outlook on that. Instead of saying I get a little nervous, I say, hey, I'm just really excited and my adrenaline's going. I take some deep breaths. So there's just a lot of different ways to kind of get back on a more of a level ground, so to speak. Now, what I find when I work with a lot of people, they have, they want to tell me everything. They even say, I repeat myself. And of course, I repeat myself. I do have a script, but I still repeat myself. I think it's a little bit of human nature. We're also trying to get our own thoughts clear on what we want to say. And that takes time, and that's okay. So compensation, that is something that is a critical factor, because I did a short-term project. It's an environmental company. They do commercial cleaning, and they use really good quality products. They have technology that just things you wouldn't be thinking about when we kind of think commercial cleaning, environmental. And they work with a lot of restaurants, and their customers are really happy with them. It's a local franchise owner. The staff loves the owner and his family, and the customers love the staff. So it's just a great project to work on when people are, they love the people in the company that are in the local community. Because I got a lot of positive feedback. People did like them. And when, I went to schedule more meetings for them, for the outside sales rep, it was challenging, but it was doable. So we got in some good appointments and closed on some deals. And I try to showcase that because the owner's wanting more like light industrial, more accounts where it's an ongoing. They prefer to have like a weekly service because the staff works a certain route. And if they have consistent work, it just makes it better for the business, the staff, and the customers as well. But it was more of what I would say. It's a great job for entry level. And then I explained to the owner, because he's having a hard time getting someone to work that position. And I had to explain that you're probably not going to get anybody that's going to stay with this long term. It's not the type of work that's going to last long term. So what I try to explain to a small business owner, especially if you're growing and he's wanting to build a sales team, so he's perfectly positioned to do that. So the job is great for somebody that wants to eventually get promoted into outside sales. Could be a technician, could be in management, and the business is growing, so there will be opportunities, but I think it's best for someone that wants to have their own territory and be an outside sales rep. Because currently the one rep is in another county, and he has such a large area that it could easily be broken down into more territories. So it's a great job to learn about the company, the staff, the processes, the products, the services they offer, as well as get to know the different businesses in the local market. So that probably within, I would say, easily a year or so, that person could advance. But I teach also that a lot of companies, let's say you want to grow, but you don't want to grow too fast, right? You don't want to grow too slow, but whatever pace you want to grow at. You want to grow faster, you just make more phone calls, you do more outreach. And so I say, set up a marketing, like a station. I call it like a station. You, a staff member, anybody can sit at that post or station, do some initial marketing, make some phone calls. You'll start getting some business. You'll start getting, that momentum. Next thing you know, you're seeing prospects, you're closing deals, or people are calling in. And so then you say, hey, okay, let's pause on the marketing. Because for a small business, you really are probably not at a point where you're going to want somebody that's on the phones, certainly not 8 hours a day, probably maybe just a couple of hours. Depends on your industry, but I'd say 2 to 4 hours on the phones, making calls, sending emails, whatever other marketing you might do. But when you do those phone calls, a little bit can go a long way. And it's not the kind of job people really look forward to. Like, oh, I can't wait to make some calls. Now, I do look forward to it, and I do make sure I'm in a positive frame of mind, which is key. But the compensation, for example, when I go and work for a client, I get them set up, I make some initial calls. It's just a flat fee. It's just this is what I charge. And somebody says, oh, that's a high hourly. However, when you look at the time I take to consult with you, and then we decide on how to make those calls, and I am happy to do it for you, because I find once you hear how I make the calls, the steps I take, and it just becomes where I'm working the system. System's not going to be working me. System's working me. Something's not right. Because when you start working the system, you just know what works. You know, over time, you're going to get some business. I can't say who is going to be interested. I just know if I work this method, this system, it will start to produce. But I don't expect a bonus or commission on closed deals. And that works. Now, a lot of people, they have to kind of say, okay, I get it. I don't know, I can trust you. That's why I'm saying you can purchase fractional time. I didn't say that. I'm saying it now because I'm putting together some offers. So you can hire me on fractional time. If you want me to do the initial calls, minimum would be 5 hours. I recommend 10. 10 gives you a really good, solid idea of how the calls can go. It gives me a better idea of what the market is saying, how they're responding, changes that you might kind of tweak here and there. I'll even make recordings of some of the calls. I do edit out any personal or any identifiable information like emails, names, but the call recordings will give you a really good idea. Oh, okay, now I see how when you say this on the first call and you're trying to find out who to speak to, a lot of times, I'll get an email, I'll leave a voice message. Sometimes I leave a live message with the gatekeeper, to sum it up. And that's how you work the system. And I find a lot of people that haven't really made calls, they have ideas of how it goes. And I'm going to say 99% of the time, probably 100% of the time, it's just not what they think. So it has to be worked a certain way. And especially in a digital world, in today's world. It used to be before the internet, you could call, you might get a decision maker on the phone a lot quicker. It's just a different world we live in. So my offer I have where I'll do the whole thing for you. I'll make the calls. I'll give you some training materials. I'll help set up an email template. I'll leave voicemail. I do the whole thing. And I don't want to go into exactly how I do it because I'd be here a month of Sundays. And I do charge a setup fee. I'm thinking about $200 to $300, kind of depends. And I will also provide leads. Now, I will also say most companies do provide me with a list. So if you have a list, I would waive or at least give a discount on the setup fee. If you have a list within a CRM, I would probably reduce that a great deal, maybe even eliminate it altogether because you already have things set up. You have a list that you feel are companies that you would really like to do business with. So kind of a pre-qualifying before actually calling. Like if you call on veterinarians, it's best to have veterinarians be called on. You wouldn't call on dentists. I mean, that's kind of an extreme example, but I'm hoping you get my point. Because you probably know who your ideal customers are better than I do. And so if you want me to do the whole thing, I'll do it. That's going to cost more money. Obviously, I would think that's obvious. If, on the other hand, you feel pretty confident that you can do it, maybe you've already been making calls, but you kind of want some help on, maybe you're doing a new campaign or you just want some fresh ideas, I'm happy to help. I really work to make sure that, I'm being very supportive, encouraging, and I also give very specific tips, kind of like, here's some homework, or here's 2 or 3 different things to consider that you can try. Because I love the testing and starting things out, because you're testing, you're doing a lot of things. You don't know how it's really going to end up looking, but you have a pretty good idea. You're going to start with, we're going to showcase you in the very best way possible. And I also am offering a group membership. You pay by the month. You can cancel anytime. If you want to, say, do some quick ramp up to market, maybe until through the summer, through the end of the year, maybe November, December, because that's holiday time. It's still a good time, but I don't really call the last couple of weeks in December. I do have some clients that do want calls made, so that's different. But I usually kind of just say, hey, I've kind of got everything prepared, ready for the first of the year to hit the road running again. So I kind of give food for thought, different things for you to consider, because some people are okay to even call straight through the end of the year, the holidays, does not matter. That's okay, because everybody has their preferences. So I'm not here to tell you what's, the right way. I can tell you how I tend to operate, give you great advice, because I have a lot of experience. I've tried different ways, and I'm always willing to try something new or new messaging. Maybe some, different techniques. Like, you can call and invite people to a webinar or an in-person meeting. I work for a company where I'm actually scheduling meetings, and it's not easy. And then I also call for a company where I'm just really trying to drive traffic to their website, because they're working to get inbound leads, but I make the outbound calls to help facilitate that. And I think they do a little bit of online marketing from time to time. And that really helps boost their marketing. So just some different food for thought, so to speak, that if you did want to work with me, for the online group membership, that's $129 a month. We meet every week on Zoom. You show up, you have a question, I answer it, first come, first serve. So if you're one of the first few people that sign up for my group membership, if you're the first, you'll probably be the first to start out. So you would get a lot of my time. So there's an extra advantage. And extra bonus, I'm giving 50% off on that for the first 3 months. And in the, I'll teach you how to get everything set up. Again, if you say, hey, I'd rather you do it, Janet, I will do it. But if you have a list, you have a CRM, you feel confident, or maybe you have someone that you've hired, that will be making the calls, they could also attend the Zoom sessions, and I'll be happy to help in any way I can. I find a lot of people are really surprised how the phone calls really do tend to go. So if you've been trying it, you're getting frustrated, or maybe you do want to try, and you just need somebody like me to kind of help guide you, get you over the edge, so to speak, you're going to find it's really not hard at all. And I also will tell people, if you really do have those nerves going, sure, you got butterflies, but you have them fly in formation. And I find when you start talking to people, it just seems to kind of happen. You bring it together. And if people ask a question, just simply answer it. And know that when people ask a question, that's a good sign. It could be that they say, hey, that's great to know, but it wouldn't work for us. At least you know where things stand. Nothing really seems to irritate me more than being somebody that can't make a quick decision when they're actually a decision maker. But I also understand, because I'm going through that too a lot of times. I don't know, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. I'm right under 15 minutes. I want to keep it under 15. So it's 50% off the group training membership. You pay by the month. So it'd be like $60, $65 a month. That's like pocket change. That's nothing. And I'm so excited because I'm also wanting to use the people that join. I want you to give me feedback. And I'm developing online courses, so that's in a beta test. So I would give you access to, any training that you really want to focus on. Most people want to focus on making the phone calls, but it's the getting the messaging and that all those steps to work in harmony. Um, it's really not that difficult. You keep it as simple as possible, and I guarantee it will work. So you can always schedule a meeting with me through my website, phonecallsthatconvert.com. And you can also send me a message that way. So, okay, and I've got a few things going. I did go over time, but I did kind of wing this, but it's something I've been thinking about, and I'm also still trying to get my butterflies to fly better in formation. Because even when I script things out, I still go totally off script on the video here, but on the phones, I might go off a little bit. Kind of depends. It depends on who you're talking to. But for the most part, I do stick to I hate to call it a script, but that is what it is. Or, you can call it a guide or talking points. I always try to stick to the core of the message. I find that's easier for people to receive. And I'm hoping to get better at these videos as well, and hope that you continue to subscribe and get your friends, and don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thanks so much. Bye. Okay. Yeah. Okay.